Hi guys, welcome back or welcome if you are new. My name is Tiana and I am the maker behind Also Stitched, and today we have a knitting podcast episode. I think it is episode 9. First of all, I want to welcome all the new people because my Australian yarn show brought a lot of new people to this channel, and in case you're confused about this channel, why all the videos were dumped on the same day on this channel, it is because I also have a crochet channel and I was doing two contents at the same time, and YouTube algorithm doesn't perform well when you are mixing two contents. So I decided to split my crochet and knitting contents. That's why I opened a new knitting channel and moved all of my content from my crochet channel to the new channel. That's why it's all uploaded at the same day and this channel is brand new technically. And after that I kind of neglected it for 2 months because my crochet channel started to grow after that very rapidly, and I am also working a lot more for the crochet at the moment because I am preparing for a big convention. In case you're wondering why my crochet and knitting content couldn't work together, it is because I'm doing plushies. It's not like I'm doing granny square blankets or beanies or things that are very similar to knitting community, meaning like wearables. I'm doing plushies, as you can see, and I'm selling plushies. So my crochet channel is very much focused on my business and markets and conventions and things like that. In case there is something that interests you, feel free to check it out. It's always linked down below. But my knitting channel is my passion because at the moment I'm definitely knitting more than I'm crocheting, and I'm knitting for myself. I'm not selling things. I do have a couple of beanies that I bring to my markets, and I'll show you one little thing that I did for my market just because I love knitting and it's bringing me more joy than crocheting at the moment. So welcome to all the new subscribers. As I said, my name is Tiana. I live in Australia at the moment. Originally I am from Croatia and I've been here for 7 years. Last video I did just the finished objects because after 2 months it was too much to fit everything in one video. I have 2 finished objects, but one wasn't even planned, one was done in 2 hours, so I'm just gonna show you that too. First of all, I want to apologize about the light in this room. Unfortunately, it is 6 p.m. and I'm losing daylight. We are on school holidays and my kids were home and I just couldn't find a quiet time to film. At the moment they are at the cinema with my husband, so I have a couple of hours of quiet time, but unfortunately I'm losing daylight time. Hibernal Socks are my first finished object. It is summerly pattern. I did shorty version. I already talked about my, and these are worn, I apologize. I already talked about my version that I did a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, since it is very dark here, it is not showing the best color. It is very light pink. This is Yarn Smith's Cotton Merino. It is superwash merino. I bought it from Wool Warehouse. It is their house brand and it is very affordable. I think this skein costs me around $6 Australian or 3 British pounds, and it is very nice and soft yarn. I have to admit it is even too soft because it is very slippery and it was really hard to work with it. For some reason my 2 socks are not matching and you can tell the difference. Let me see. This one is smaller. This one was done on a tighter gauge while this one was done on a looser gauge. And usually when I'm knitting socks, I'm knitting 2 at the same time just to avoid this problem. But I was lazy. Since the yarn comes in a big skein, I was lazy to split the yarn and I was lazy to pull from one side and pull from the outside because I was scared it's gonna get tangled. And lesson learned. I've already learned this lesson a couple of times. I shouldn't do that because my tension changes. That's why I need to knit 2 socks at the same time all the time. Unfortunately, one is smaller, the other one is bigger, but that's fine. Yarn is very nice and soft and I do love it, but I will have to pick and choose projects that I'm gonna do with this yarn just because it is very silky, shiny, slippery. I would prefer this yarn for more like spring summer projects rather than winter ones, but it is a beautiful yarn. It's very soft. It's so much better than my first Hibernal Socks that I did in Drops Fable yarn. And even though I said that that yarn is very itchy and I can feel it on my feet, I wore those socks to Australian yarn show whole day, and in the end I didn't feel them, because if I'm not sitting here and overthinking what's on my feet, I just forgot, and they were good. I would actually say that they're really durable, and we'll see how these are gonna wear. These were already worn, that's why they are not looking pristine, but oh well. I love this pattern. In case this is the first time you're seeing Hibernal Socks, they are done in mock cable. It is 4-row repeat with some ribbing in between, and it is really beautiful and really nice pattern to work, and I enjoyed knitting these ones. So I've done this on 2.25 mil needles. This is size medium, and this was on my needles for 20 days. Altogether it used 62 grams of yarn or 250 meters. And since one of them I did tighter and the other one looser, on the looser one I actually did 4 pattern repeats less, because otherwise they would be too long for me. So yeah, and just the standard heel flap gusset construction, and yeah, that's it. But oh well, lesson learned. I'm still gonna wear them, and they're really nice and soft, and I enjoy them. My next project wasn't planned. It just got into my head, and you can tell I have a tag. This is my crochet business tag, because I actually did take this to my market. I did a tiny tree sock by Summerly and put it as a keychain, because I do sell crochet tiny plushes as a keychains, and I thought, let me try make a mini sock, tiny sock. Let's see how that will work. And I didn't want to do it in a 4-ply because I wasn't sure how big it would be. So this is done in DK or 8-ply. It is from Spotlight, just a regular marble 8-ply acrylic yarn, and I did it on size 3 mil needles. This took around 2.5 hours to make. It took only 6 grams or 16 meters. And I was just curious how it's gonna go, how big it's gonna be, and to bring it to my market to see if people are even interested in buying this. If not, I will keep it. I love knitting socks, so I really enjoyed making this one. And that's it. This was actually my first time doing afterthought heel, and it was fun. I learned it, and it's actually nothing hard, nothing special, just like toe decreases, and that's it. So yeah, so cute. I really like it, and I would totally make more of this if this one ever sells. Guess what? I forgot to tell you what I'm wearing again, as usual. Those things always happen. So this is Cumulus TO neck. I was working on this t-shirt during Vlogmas, and my Vlogmas is back on my crochet channel. In case you're curious, I did film Vlogmas. I was mostly knitting in that Vlogmas. I did crochet, but I was mostly working on this t-shirt and a couple of other projects. If you're curious to see that, feel free to check it. So this is done in Knitting for Olive pure silk in color ballerina. It was done on 3 mil needles, and it's a beautiful piece. I really love the design of this t-shirt. I love the sleeve length. I love the I-cord edging. It's really beautiful t-shirt. I enjoy wearing this. It was very slow to knit. It was hard on my hands because this silk is very dry. It's not pleasurable to knit because I usually knit on a tighter gauge. I said I would only use this yarn if the garment was worth, and to me it was. I really enjoyed wearing this whole summer, and like I mentioned in my last video, I think my next video is gonna be all the summer t-shirts and fibers that I have worn the most this summer, because we are in Australia, we are just in autumn. So I will talk more about my most worn t-shirts and the fibers in my next video. Stay tuned for that. And I only have those 2 finished objects and only 3 WIPs at the moment. I'm gonna start with my longest one. So this is a blanket. I have no plan or use for this blanket at the moment. It is just gonna be a baby blanket, and I'm kind of freehanding it, but I'm gonna explain. I started this as a different pattern. It was a free pattern, and I just didn't like it. I don't even remember what was the pattern, and I tried to find it and I can't. But then I watched Knitterary, is that what she's called? She was knitting Sorgenfri Blanket, and that blanket is paid for pattern by Guri Pedersen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. I apologize if I don't. And since that was a paid pattern, I was contemplating should I buy it or should I not, because it's a baby blanket and it's very simple. I really didn't need to buy the pattern to read the stitches. That's why I don't want to talk about the stitches, because I didn't pay for it, but essentially it is just a combination of ribbing and garter stitch. I'm not sure should I even talk a lot about it, just because I didn't buy the pattern, and I'm just gonna show you up close what this look like. So it is the repeat between 1x1 rib and garter stitch with garter border, and that is essentially it. The cast on stitch I just guessed because like I said, I started a different blanket and I just left that on my needles and started this, and it's working. I'm working this on 4.5 mil needles, and I'm doing it in Bendigo Woollen Mills 4-ply cotton, and I'm double stranding this. In case you have been following me since last year, then this color might be familiar to you. I did my ranunculus in this cotton, but I've never wore it. I said if I ever wear it during summer, I'm gonna keep it, but if I don't wear it, I'm just gonna frog it. And that's what I did. I frogged it and decided to repurpose the yarn, and here I am. I'm doing a blanket, and this is just gonna be for gifts. I have no one in plans for this blanket, and this blanket is not going to charity. In case you don't know, I have knitted over 30 beanies and 4 blankets for charity this year, and that is also on my crochet channel where I talk more about my charity knitting. I did knit a lot last year for charity, and this one is not gonna go for charity. I'm hoping that I will have someone to give this soon. This is Bendigo Woollen Mills Cotton. Since it is 4-ply, even though it is double stranded, it is really soft. Their cotton is really beautiful. Unfortunately, I bought this color for me as a wearable and it just didn't suit me. I was very washed out. It was pretty much my skin tone. That's why I decided to knit it as a baby blanket. I do apologize if I'm rushing through all of this, but I'm aware that soon I will be sitting here in dark and it's not gonna be good. Let's go to my next WIP, which is another pair of socks. Originally, I bought this yarn for myself and a different yarn that I already used for my husband. But when I started this project, I just didn't like how this yarn was pulling and looking like. Let me show you the pulling. You can see the pulling. I just wasn't a huge fan of this, and I asked my husband if this is something he would like, and he said yes, you can make it for me. So I decided to continue in a bigger size, definitely bigger, and this is looking so weird. This is Comfort Core Sock by Summer Lee. It is a very interesting design because she did some texture on top and then this cinched part, which I actually like. Commercial socks, I love to wear these socks where they have this cinched part here on the arch area, but then there is this texture that should also be here, but I decided to skip this texture just because I'm not enjoying knitting this. First of all, I didn't like this texture. Second of all, this part took forever because it was very tight on my 9-inch circular. I'm always knitting on 9-inch circular just because it is the fastest, or I do DPNs for toes where I need to switch for toes. And like I said, I'm always knitting 2 at a time. So here is my second one. I have a bit to knit on the leg and then just the toes and I should be done. But I'm really not enjoying these socks with all this texture, and I wish it was just the plain stockinette. I don't mind knitting plain vanilla socks, but this was just a bit too much. This yarn would look nice in a plain vanilla stockinette, as you can see here, but it just didn't look nice on the 2x2 ribbing. But oh well. Lesson learned. My husband is happy with them. They are fitting him nice. I would love to make one for myself because I'm curious how this fit holds, how this part cinching in your arch will fit me. But I'm not enjoying process of knitting this, and I'm very much a process knitter. The best part for me is knitting, is holding the yarn, experience different yarns, not the project that I will have in the end. So yeah, the yarn that I have used is Arcane Fiber Works. It It is a Canadian small business. The colorway is called Serenity. So originally I bought this for myself, but like I said, I didn't like that pulling, so I decided to make it for my husband, and they should be done this weekend. Men's socks take forever because they are so long and they are killing me, especially when the pattern is not the most enjoyable pattern. But oh well. They are done on 2.25 mil needles. I'm making size medium for him. I'm still discovering the perfect recipe, but I think I have nailed it. So far he has tried it on and he likes them. So I did 64 stitch cast on, and then for the heel flap I need to knit the heel flap until 9 centimeters, and then I have 30 stitches gusset pickup on the each side, which in the end I end up with 110 stitches, and I'm decreasing for like 40 something rows until I get to 64 stitches again. This was my first time doing this recipe and he said it fits nice, so we will see in the long run how he will like that. The thing is, he has very skinny leg and skinny foot, but he has a very high arch, and that's why I need that heel to be very tall with a lot of gusset pick up stitches, and then I have a long time to decrease to 64. And that is it. That is my second WIP, and let's go to my last one. So my last work in progress is not on the needles at the moment, just because I'm in between steps. So this is Janette Cardigan by Moreca Knit, and I'm knitting this in Drops Air in color Pearl Grey. Let me first show you the yarn and the color. It is very light pale gray color. It has like a nice marling, like it is white and light gray combination, and I really love this. Even though I have talked about not wearing garments with mohair, this is completely different to mohair. This is what the ball looks like. It is a huge and lightweight, massive, fluffy. It is a chain blown yarn, and it is polyamide with wool, and I think there is some alpaca. Let me double check. So it is 65% alpaca, 28% of polyamide. That is the chain net construction, and there is only 7% of merino, but it is really nice, soft and fluffy, and I enjoy this on my skin. And like I mentioned, I don't like to even work with mohair because it leaves a mess and I'm constantly itching because I can feel fibers on my skin, but with this I just don't. It's not messy, it doesn't leave a lot of fibers out of this chain net, and it is so nice and soft. I mean, we'll see in the long run how I will be able to wear this, but so far I'm loving it. I really enjoy knitting this. This yarn is not designed for this pattern, so I am completely working this off gauge, and let's talk about the pattern. The pattern is supposed to be done on 4.5 mil needles, which actually this yarn should be done on 5 mil needles, but I made it work. I am doing this yarn on 4 mil needles just to achieve the gauge for this pattern, and now I'm kind of struggling because in the round I'm knitting tight, and when I'm knitting flat I'm knitting loose, and I'm not sure if you will be able to tell. For example, this part is very loose compared to my sleeves, but in the end it's still working, it's still fitting. At the moment it's running small on me, and I'm knitting size small just because of the gauge. Originally I started with medium and then I switched to size small because with my experience with Pole cardigan, which is also pattern from Moreca Knit, I started with size large and ended up with 5XL. Don't even ask how that happened, it was crazy, but it happened. So this time I went with size small and I'm working it around size medium. It is running small at the moment, but it's gonna block out, and I know it's gonna stretch, it's gonna fit nicely. Construction is pretty much basic cardigan construction. You start with the back, you work with the shaping bag. Moreca Knit is perfectionist. She does a lot of short shaping. Her patterns are the most engaging patterns, and I love engaging patterns. I learned that these constructions are really fun for me and I enjoy making this. This is definitely easier than pole cardigan because pole cardigan is saddle shoulder construction and there is a lot going on there. But here you start with the back panel and then you do some short row shaping for this part. You do increases for the armholes. In the end, you're just picking stitches, doing the front panels. The front panels also start with short rows, with shaping, with increasing, then you cast on stitches for the crew neck, and there is a lot going on. In the end, you're just joining to knit flat all the pieces front and back. The bottom is 1x1 rib. Sleeves are plain stockinette with 1x1 rib cuffs, and then in the end my next step is gonna be picking up the bottom band for double knitted bottom band. I love double knitting. I don't know what it is, but it is such a nice rhythmic motion to do double knitting, and I don't know what it is about it, but I really enjoy it. After the double knitted band, you just go back and do the crew neck collar, and that's it. Construction wise, this is definitely easier than pole cardigan. Pole cardigan is a v-neck cardigan with saddle shoulders, while this is just the drop shoulder. Amongst all of the other patterns, I went with her pattern just because she has a very good attention to details. She does a lot of shaping. Her patterns are very well fitted, very well written. There are links to YouTube tutorials. She doesn't talk in YouTube tutorials, but just by looking you can figure it out what she is doing. I love her patterns. I love her style of writing. I love her style of designing, and I really do recommend Moreca Knit patterns. I'm gonna definitely make more. I just enjoy working on her patterns. They're very timeless. They're really beautiful, simple. Originally this pattern is done in worsted, folded together with lace, so it is Aran, or she says 10 ply. The gauge is 19 stitches. I am somewhere between 18 and 19. When I started with these front panels, I was around 17 stitch gauge. That's why I switched to size small. Then my sleeve gauge is around 18 to 19, so I vary. And I'm aware of that, and that's fine. But I'm glad that I managed to make this yarn work for this pattern on 4mm needles, even though the pattern calls for 4.5mm needles. This is the newer pattern. It's really beautiful. I'm gonna insert a couple of photos so you can see what it looks like on her. It is designed so that there is no button on the bottom. It's designed to stay open, and I'm still deciding whether I'm gonna do that or not. I'm thinking, since this is now off the needles, I'm actually thinking of blocking it. I'm not sure. I honestly can't be bothered blocking it, but at the same time I'm not sure if I want to do that last button or not. Will I regret not doing it? I don't think I will regret putting it. I might regret not doing it, so it's better for me to just do it. Yeah, maybe I should just do it to make my life easier. This is gonna be like a really transitional, not just transitional, this could be actually a nice winter jacket for me, because here in Sydney we don't get a lot of cold days and I don't go out a lot, so I can easily wear it as a jacket. Or I definitely wouldn't be able to wear this as a jacket on my markets, because on markets I usually am freezing because I'm there whole day and it gets cold. But on an everyday errands, running and things like that, this could be my go-to jacket, and it's so nice and so soft. I definitely want to work more in drops air. I do know a lot of people have said that I'm gonna lose a lot of fluff with washing and wearing, and I'm fine with it because this yarn is so cheap. I think I bought 10 skeins in total. I might use only 8. I'm at the moment working on my 8th skein and it might be enough, if not 9. And this project is gonna cost me less than $60. And it's cheap yarn and I don't mind if it wears out quickly, because like I said in one of my videos, I am overprotective of my knits and I really need to get over with that, because I should wear my knits more without stressing. And if I wear a cheaper yarn, I will definitely stress less. So why stress when I can enjoy these beautiful garments and wear them? that's it. And that is essentially it. All my 3 WIPs at the moment. I'm sure that by my next knitting podcast, 2 of them are gonna be done. I'm not sure about the blanket because I haven't worked on that blanket for probably 2 weeks and I'm in no rush. I have no plans for that blanket, so that is just in between some projects and that's gonna be on my needles for a long time. But the jacket and socks are gonna be done until my next knitting podcast, definitely. That is actually it. I have tried to make this short just because of the light situation. I'm almost sitting here in the dark, and thank you so much if you have stayed with me through this darkness. I mean, it's not completely dark, but it's almost dark. It's 7 p.m. already. I've been talking for an hour. Time just flies. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy knitting.